Hello and welcome to Out of Mana, the video game podcast where we talk about games, consoles, and developers, old and new, along with some of the hottest gaming news and other various topics. I'm Garrett.
I'm Ben.
And today is December 14th, a Monday actually. Typically we record on Sundays, but little rescheduling.
Yeah.
My fault, honestly. But
pretty much.
So yeah, we got an interesting show for you today. Cyberpunk is at the top of the list, obviously.
Yes. So Cyberpunk, which as opposed to our last show, was basically the next best thing next to sliced bread and Betty White. You know, it was going to be the second coming, basically. If Jesus was a game, Cyberpunk would have been
This was it.
And unfortunately, this is more like, like Mises, or like Jesus' kind of not so good cousin. There has been a lot of dramatic news about Cyberpunk's kind of rise and crash and fall.
Needless to say, I was a little skeptical, but I did not expect it to go down like this. And man, the media is having a heyday tearing them to pieces.
Especially IGN. IGN went from Cyberpunk you're going to love Cyberpunk, there's going to be new religion, there's going to be churches, cathedrals, get ready. And now they're basically casting them down with the sodomites. I mean, Cyberpunk is sin to them,
and honestly for good reason. The things that they're criticizing about, and we're gonna go more into this,
yes,
but it's more about what platforms it's running on.
It's basically the bugs and a little bit the apple was a little too shiny, and once you rub that off, this is a very dim apple. I mean, damn.
So before we dive into that, let's just start off with anything new happening with you, Ben. Anything?
I mean, besides kind of a bit of a sucky work week, coming home covered in dirt and all that fun stuff.
With it raining outside too. I bet that was fun.
Waterproof, rainproof. So yeah, walk around this 30,000 square foot mansion and rainproof it, and that's fun. I'll tell you that, that's fun.
I gotta ask, when you're in the middle of a construction job, when it rains, I mean, can the wood just get wet? Doesn't that shrink it? I mean, what do you do to prevent that?
When you're in the middle of a construction job and it starts raining, basically everyone starts running around with their heads cut off, like
really?
Chickens with their heads cut off. Excuse me. Yeah. There's wood that can get wet, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to framing material, and especially like siding and other types of material, when they're not sealed with paint, like primed with something that's water resistant, the wood will absorb the water, swell.
Yeah.
And then if you use it while swelled, it will then shrink eventually.
Okay.
And that will cause it to split. It'll cause it to sometimes twist, sometimes out of plumb, sometimes so it looks a little. It basically ruins the structure itself.
Yeah.
The integrity as well as the look of it. So it's a problem. Yeah.
So the only reason I think about this is because I literally drive by, construction sites and it's raining outside and it's just getting wet.
Yeah.
Do you just have to go with the flow with that?
I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
There's really only so much you can do. But a lot of sites, it depends on the company. Like some companies care a little more about that. Some are just kind of like, yeah, whatever. No one's gonna notice. It's fine.
Interesting.
It's an inch out of square, whatever. Move on. Go with it. Nail it down. It's it's just how it is. But my company is not one of those companies. They will basically ream your ass if you make it.
Good.
Get a little too wet.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So just and you got Cyberpunk, right?
I did get Cyberpunk. I got Cyberpunk on the night of. I proceeded to make my character, and then I proceeded to not make my character because my game crashed.
Okay.
But that was my first night. That was my first experience.
And what'd you buy it on?
I bought it on the PC.
Okay. I also got it. I pre-ordered it actually through Best Buy. I got the physical PlayStation 4 copy because they don't have a next gen,
and the PC doesn't get a physical copy, so fuck us. But yeah.
So since I did it through Best Buy, I actually got a cool steelbook case with it for free.
Oh, sick!
Did I show it to you?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll send you a picture.
You probably showed it to Eric.
No. No, I posted it on Instagram on my personal Instagram.
I'm not an Instagrammer, so yeah.
It's pretty cool. It got me hyped and everything. It even had like little goodies in it. It had stickers. It had a map. It had
just like my little gift box I bought.
It is, yeah.
So I guess it really helped elevate you to a really nice height to fall from, right?
It's. I mean, thankfully I wasn't playing it on a base PS4.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the PS5
You're
version.
emulating a PS4 basically on the PS5.
I am. I'm just emulating the PS4 version.
So you're just getting half the shit instead of the full shit.
And yeah, you said yours crashed right after character creation.
It was like right at the end of it, basically. I was just like, this is what I want to look, and then it was gone.
Mine crashed about 15 minutes into the story, so
sweet.
I didn't get much further. And at that point, I'm like, okay. I quickly go on Twitter and see what everyone else is experiencing. I'm like, oh no.
Yep.
Okay, so before that, I just want to tell a little story that I did.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with Cyberpunk.
Not Cyberpunk,
Yes.
yeah. So
we're going to real life here.
real life here, yeah. Before we dive into Cyberpunk, nothing really new with me exactly. Just working as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, actually, let me formally ask that because I didn't get a chance to ask that before you jumped to Cyberpunk. What's new with you?
Nothing.
Okay.
Just work. But I did do this little favor for a friend.
Ooh, is there like some like sucky suki?
No.
Go ahead.
Basically, someone from like my high school era reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, you still live in California, right?" I'm like,
Oh, this is someone because you went to high school out of California.
"Yeah,
of
I
course.
used to live in Missouri." So someone I knew in Missouri, they're like, "Hey, you live in California, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still here." And they're like, "How would you feel about doing a favor for my husband for like $50?"
Sugi sucky.
I'm like, "Okay, well, what are we talking about here?" And she's like, "Well, he needs this new motherboard for his PC, and you can't get it online because it's selling out instantly."
This is that. What is it called again?
I think it's called the Republic Gamer Dark Hero.
That's it.
It's got a longer name, I think.
But it's the new one that runs the new generation of AMD processors.
Yeah, from what I understand,
Which are supposed to be a game changer and super awesome, and I would love to have. So
yeah, dude, if you're listening and you want to hit us up. So what I did, yeah, she was like, he can't get it anywhere. It's selling out online. The only place he can find it is these certain stores in California. And I happened to be in the Bay Area at the time. And she was like, would you be able to do this for him? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And so I go to the computer store, and I go to pick it up, and they have to do a combo deal.
Oh, to get from the scalpers, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the scalpers are going to buy 3 items. You know, they're going to buy 1.
Exactly. So you had to buy the motherboard, and you also had to purchase 3 other computer components.
Damn.
Yeah, so we ended up getting like 2 SSDs and a cooler and stuff.
I hope he gave one of those SSDs to you.
No.
Oh.
He gave it to his son, which is good.
Oh, okay.
Or no, the son got the cooler. His wife got the new SSD.
Oh,
so.
only. Okay.
So they're having fun gaming right now, I hope.
Sweet.
And he did send me a picture of it, and it looks awesome.
Oh, that's sick.
But yeah, man. I mean, it's like a $400 motherboard, and they're flipping it online for $800, $900. So he was like, I can literally pay someone to buy it for me, ship it to me, pay for the shipping, and
have money left over.
And have money left over.
Yeah, yeah.
Even with purchasing the 3 extra components, he either equaled out.
He equaled out. Okay, let's not go that far. He equaled out.
I think he possibly equaled out.
Like, we're not talking about the graphics cards here that are 1,500 each.
Well, he did get the 3090 as well.
Oh, of course. Oh, sweet, dude.
He actually got 2 of them, and he's trading.
He got 2 of them. He's a scalper. Guards.
He's trading one of them to get something else. So he's
trading one of them. What is this, like a bazaar? Like is this a marketplace?
I think so. I think I just entered into some dark marketplace. Anyways,
awesome.
I just thought it was kind of fun. It got me riled up. I was in there, and there was a bunch of people trying to get the same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to build a new PC. I'm like, I don't need it. I just got a PlayStation.
One of my new coworkers just built himself a $5,000 PC.
Oh my god.
The 3090 included. 1,500. He bought into the scalper because he wanted the card so badly he bought into it. You can call him an idiot. You can think he's stupid for all you want. He wanted it, so he bought it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he put like $5,000 in this PC. This is like a brand spanking new, and he showed me pictures of it, and I was like, holy shit, dude. And his screen, his screen looks like something out of like Logan's Run or like Soylent Green where it wraps around.
Is it a wrap?
Yes, and it plays like. It looks awesome. I've never even seen one of those in person.
You'll have to show me a picture of that because God.
Yes.
Yeah, he sent me a picture too, and it's got all the RGB in it.
Oh.
He's got the big GeForce RTX. I'm like, oh, I want it so bad,
dude.
But then again,
to have that money to do that. Oh, if only.
But I got the PS5, so I'm happy.
That was pretty cool.
I'm like the 5% of the people that own that. So
very small amount. The rest are all in scalpers.
Yeah. So that's my story. That's all that's new. I did get Cyberpunk as well, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get into Cyberpunk now. You have played a little bit, right?
I've played over 3 hours of it so far.
Okay.
I really haven't had that much time to play, but I've tried.
I'll be honest.
They released it in the middle of a work week, so go figure.
Yeah, after that crash, already
just that one crash,
I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for some patches because I know they're gonna roll some out, and lo and behold, they did. There was a day one, so on console at least. I downloaded the game for PS4 directly from the disc. It was in between 50 and 60 gigabytes, like just the game. And then there was the day 1 or day 0 patch.
Yeah, which was what?
It was like
gigabytes.
It was like 60 or something like that. It bumped it up to like 102 gigabytes.
Whew.
And then something else must have downloaded because it went up to 109.
Oh, that was probably like the virus just to kill all the people complaining. That was the Y2K.
And then another one came out. Couple days or like the next day. There was like another series of patch, which is supposed to fix most of the stuff that was happening on consoles, but the thing is, it may have fixed some bugs and some crash issues, but for those people on like the base PS4 and Xbox One, that's not going to fix the horrible monsters that they're seeing in that game. And graphics wise.
So this is something that CD Projekt Red, great company. Witcher 3 was a fantastic game. People fondly remember it, like their children fondly remember it. It's told in fairy tale. It's a great game. When Witcher 3 first came out, it had a very, very rough start. I'm saying this from experience. And one of those experiences was one that I will never forget, which is what Garrett just alluded to. And we call it the mozzarella face, which is where the NPCs' faces get stretched out and dangle with these dangly bits that no human should ever have.
It's terrifying.
It is horrifying. I took a picture of it way back when. If I can dig it up on my computer, I'll post it. I'll post it on the Twitter if I can dig it up. But like, it is horrifying. And when he was telling me about that, I was like, I know exactly what demon you're speaking of, like, sir. It is. So this I've seen before. So it does not surprise me. But the fact that it's happening in Cyberpunk, I was actually a little surprised to put that. I'm surprised that a game that was this long in the running is having trouble running.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Witcher 3 had a rough start. Do you remember it being as rocky as this one?
It's hard to objectively say that. That's the problem. Is
because Cyberpunk has been...
Witcher 3 was a big deal, but Witcher never had quite the
spotlight.
The spotlight, I guess, is the way to put it. The spotlight that Cyberpunk has. Witcher 3 came out, it was really rough, it was really glitchy. I think a lot of you will remember at least the horse on the roof glitches that everyone's taking
the
pictures
famous
of.
one, yeah.
That was one of the classic original like launch day glitches. Was Roach the horse ending up on your roof. But most of the glitches were kind of all in good fun, despite the fact some game-breaking ones here and there. It didn't get that much bad press per se, but it was known as being very glitchy, and then they fixed it. And the game is now known for being the great game that it is.
Mm-hmm. One of the best games. Some people consider one of the best of the decade.
It is very infamous for being good. Yeah, I mean, and for good reason. I mean, it is. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's a solid game. Mm-hmm. And Cyberpunk just has a bigger spotlight. It is way further into that microscope of the public eye that everything that's going wrong with it is that and tenfold bad.
I was going to say the only other game I could think that had this big of a spotlight was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
And like, it didn't have any problems.
Red Dead Redemption 2 came out flawlessly.
It came out flawlessly. It was given like a 10 out of 10.
Besides like hiccups here and there, nothing. Like that game had a flawless landing, 10 out of 10 almost.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because guess what game can run perfectly fine on a base PS4, Xbox One?
Yep.
Red Dead Redemption 2 on launch day. It didn't have any issues. You can look at that game. It's one of the prettiest games you'll see.
I got that game with like as soon as it launched, basically. And yeah, I had no problems with it on my PS4.
Yeah.
None. I didn't even have a PS4 Pro. I had a PS4 shit, and it ran perfectly. I was very happy with it. Cyberpunk is not the case, and many, many people can attest to that. If you think everyone's blowing it out of their ass, like just freaking out for no reason, hey, there's a lot of video evidence. And I'm gonna bring it back again. I'm sorry. This game has been in production for a very long time. Yeah. It has had a lot of hype. It has had a lot of false hype because a lot of what CD Projekt Red has actually not happened in the game. A lot of what they have said has not actually been in the game. They've kind of sneakily redacted it. Not bringing that up anymore. But this game has had a long time and very infamously, especially in the past year, of being in development.
Yeah,
and
there was multiple delays.
And what the hell?
And I knew they were getting in trouble for crunch.
What's going on? Like, I mean, this is bad.
And another bad part is I was doing a lot more reading into it. The only copy that they gave people out to do reviews for was the PC version.
Yep.
And they were like not allowing
so
anyone to
people
play
were
the
unaware
console.
of what because the console versions obviously were not ready.
Yeah.
They didn't give them out because they were not ready.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're still not ready.
And it has been, oh my god.
I love CD Projekt Red, so I feel bad.
I do too.
That their hard work is getting literally shat upon so hard, but hey, you ask for it, you give out a shit product, it's gonna get shit on. And Cyberpunk is by all means should be a good game, and in some cases is, but it's not quite up to snuff.
Yeah, so I just want to point out, I don't think this is any of the developers' fault. This has got to fall on like studio leadership.
Yeah,
because I'm sure the devs work their butts off.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful game and has some beautiful things in it, but
I was gonna say on PC, if you have a strong PC that can handle it, it's a very, very beautiful game.
Yeah,
a lot of cool. I mean, and you'll be able to talk a little bit more about it because you've played it a little longer. But from what I'm reading online, if you're playing on a nice PC, it is like night and day experience. Like apparently everyone who's playing on PC is having a great time.
Yeah,
a lot of cool stuff.
So
it's a great game. It's just the way they gave it out is terrible because not everyone can experience it the same way.
The console experience is definitely sinking their ship.
It's like Cyberpunk 2007 is what they should have called it on console because it's bad.
That's actually fairly good, Garrett. Actually, I mean, really, it is. Like I said, I had a one crash. Crashed right after the character creation, and that night I stopped playing because I was like, I need to go to bed for to work tomorrow. But I played again, no crash. I had a few glitches that made me reload a few times. I got stuck in the environment once, reloaded. I had a scene where I was interacting with some NPCs. They stood there and stared at me, dead-eyed. I had to reload because nothing was happening. That's kind of pretty much been it for like the game not working. Of course, then there's also the bed sleeping, which your character sleeps unnaturally on the bed. I don't know if you've seen anything about that, Garrett.
I haven't. Is he like a stiff board on the bed?
No, you don't zoom out. So you first person sleep on the bed. So I'm just saying, I'm gonna say this from like one first person to another because we all see in first person. When you sleep on a bed, I'm assuming you are kind of like looking off the side of the bed. You know, your head's on the pillow. You're laying basically parallel with the length of the bed, and you're looking off the bed. Instead, when you go to your bed, do you decide to, I don't know, lay on it like you throw your head in the middle of the bed and you look up to your pillows with your head out resting on them? Like, so basically what V, the main character in the game, does is he goes up to his bed. He's like, it's time for bed. And he throws himself down and lays halfway on the bed. So your pillows are like a good couple feet in front of you. And you're presumably your lower half is just dangling off the bed like a chandelier.
Maybe he was so tired he couldn't make it all the way
He does
up.
this every night. So that's definitely maybe in some weird way that's intentional, but it's funny. It's harmless. It's basically like the roach on the roof. It's harmless, but it's very, very. When it first happened, I had to kind of sit there and go, that's not how you sleep on a bed. Well, what's going on here? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But so far, honestly, the game has ran pretty well.
Okay.
And I have a 980. My card is a 980. I haven't updated my card since I graduated high school. And the game runs fine. It runs very good. Honestly, I'm running on like maybe low high. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not medium. I'm running a little high on the medium side. And my FPS is good. Cool. I mean, my frames are good. I'm doing all right. And I'm enjoying it. Like, the game is playing as it should, presumably, yeah.
And I've got I'll point out right now, if I can remember a few scores, IGN gave the PC version, the one they were given, a 9 out of 10.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
That's an amazing out of 10. One really controversial one was GameSpot's. They gave it a 7 out of 10. And, I haven't played it long enough. I didn't even read the review, honestly, because it was basically a lot of ridiculousness. Like, it was a woman that reviewed it, and of course, so you got a lot of internet trolls being like, she shouldn't be reviewing this. She doesn't even play RPGs.
She doesn't even play RPGs. It's like, so she has no opinion.
She has no. Oh, she's not a qualified professional. So
I think the keyword also is she.
Yeah,
she's not allowed to do that because she.
Yeah, so it was very disappointing. Yeah. Luckily, a lot of journalism, Twitter defended her.
And I think she's being proven a little bit right now. I hope she's reveling because she should be.
And from some of the things you told me off mic, like the game's not as fantastic as you thought it might be.
I'm gonna harken back to something I've said in an earlier podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This game is... I followed the development of this game enough to understand its promises and what it could be. I didn't really want to spoil anything, so I didn't like look at every little thing they released, but I'm getting reminded a lot of Fable 2.
Oh no.
Where I was super stoked, I was super excited, then I played it and I was like, I'm having fun, but this is not at all what I was led to believe it would be.
So what are the key points that are making you feel that way?
The key point, first and foremost, is really that this game is kind of a fake RPG.
Oh, really?
It's more of an action adventure.
Okay.
That's not really a bad thing. It's just that you do a character creator, you do an origin story, and they don't really seem to matter that much.
This might change when you get further in the game. So
I mean,
so this
maybe
is first impression.
Maybe this is just my first impression. Is that like I just kind of expected a little more RPG out of it, and so far it's just been kind of a little linear action adventure, in my opinion.
Have you gotten to like open worldness where you can go where you want?
I've done a little bit of that. Yeah, I've done some of the wandering. I've started a side mission. That was kind of all I could get into. I haven't had the time to play as much as I wanted to, but yeah, it's the gameplay is the next thing, and that's where I've not really played a shooter that has felt as unsatisfying as this in quite a long time.
Ooh, which is a problem because shooting's kind of part of the game.
Shooting is one of the big combat modes of this game, and the main reason for that is one of the main reasons I didn't enjoy Oblivion's combat is because everything's a goddamn sponge. The enemy, I heard this before. This wasn't a terrible surprise to me. The enemies, there's cyber too. They have plating in their heads and woo, and Robbie the robot and blah, blah, blah. And they get shot and they can survive the shot. It's like, but is that fun?
Yeah.
I don't know about everyone else, but when I point blank hit an enemy between the eyes, but when I want to put them down like Rover behind the shed, and it takes 3 hits to put Rover down in the head, I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about games is no matter how difficult it is, a headshot's a headshot. Like, unless it's like a divine beast where it's like they have skulls made out of titanium.
It's one of those. Okay. It's one of those things where it's kind of like when you check something off of a to-do list and you're like, like you feel kind of good. That's kind of what a headshot is in a game. Like you hit an enemy in the head, their face relaxes and they crumple to the ground, and you're kind of like, You know,
because it's not easy. It's hard to get a headshot in the game.
And it just kind of it's a satisfying kill on an enemy. So the first thing I did when I got into combat in Cyberpunk, of course, was I aimed between the eyes and fired. And the enemy just like bobbled their head and was like, "Oh, I'm fine." And it's like, okay. I guess these are titanium cyber plated whatevers.
Yeah.
And after about a collected after a couple hours of collected combat. I realized that I was not really enjoying the combat.
Interesting.
It's just very... It was kind of like Perfect Dark when I played that on the 360. It was just kind of like, okay, this is shooter. Not really that fun, but it's a shooter. And the combat's just not fun.
Yeah.
And...
That's not a good first impression, because even if it does get better later down the road... You don't want to get it like 5 hours into a game and be like, okay, is this going to get any better?
And maybe it will. I've only used, I think, 3 guns. I picked up some guns off of enemies and used those. They're all kind of fun in their own way, but bullet sponges aren't fun. Like I'm playing. I didn't do hard mode because I just decided not to do a hard mode for my first playthrough.
Yeah.
And the enemies are taking way too many hits. I want some satisfying headshots that kill an enemy. And I can only imagine what some of the hard enemies are going to be like that, because this is a kind of a leveled game.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because not that I played, but I selected hard, and so I'm kind of glad I didn't go
It's not that the gameplay is too hard. It's just that the enemies just...
They'll take like 6 headshots to die.
You know, I guess so. I don't know if they level the health or not, but it feels like that. And honestly, that's a little disappointing. I'll say that again. Then the next thing is the hacking. And this is something that maybe it'll get better as I have more exposure to it. So I'm just going to lightly say this one. But the hacking system in the game is very convoluted.
I heard it's confusing / complicated.
So I did the tutorial because
Okay.
this is a new game. I have no experience with it, and I wasn't just going to wing it like a madman. So I did a tutorial, hacking tutorial, and after I finished it, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing still. Then in the actual gameplay, he's like, oh, you should hack them, SA. And so I was like, I creeped up, and I was like, okay. And so I opened my hacking menu, and I was like, I'm gonna hit this, and then the enemies turned around and were like, there he is, get him! And I was like, I wasn't finished yet, wait! Don't attack me yet! I was still sneaking! And so...
Oh, man.
Basically, the point is that there was a lot to look at on this hacking menu in this like little moment of time that I had to do it in real gameplay. And I had no time to fully enjoy it because it was just like, wait.
So you have limited time and there's so much on the screen, it's almost impossible to...
You have options. You have a lot of options. And options are always a good thing. Yes.
Okay.
But in this case, you have options. And the options are like... I forget what they are. But basically, it's like distract the enemy with an object. I think cause one of them to detonate. Like something in their pockets to detonate. And another one is kind of a more ambiguous one. I think that allows you to hack into their brain and then cause them to do something. That's the one that I was trying to do, and when I tried to do it, then I was punching the numbers, and then they turned around, they're like, then they got me. So,
I'm curious. When you were building, so when you build your character, one, you get to choose one of 3 paths. You can be street kid, nomad, or corpo or corporate.
Yeah, I think what are the game called? Like life journeys or something like that.
I think so.
Yes.
Which one did you choose?
I chose the nomad.
You chose nomad,
and I'm assuming it's all different. I did do the other ones.
I did corporate, so I can give you some insight on that one.
So give me a brief, like, what was your 10 minutes of gameplay that you had before it was ripped from your hands? Like,
it was. I was actually getting to the good part. So
what was like the first thing that happened when your character, quote unquote, woke up?
I was in a bathroom. And I was throwing up in the sink, and I had some pills next to me because I'm like a corporate guy who pushes it to the limit.
So already off the bat, so that's one thing I wanted to confirm. Is that the game, the introductions, like immediate introductions, were different. So mine was completely different than that. So I was just wondering if they had the exact same introduction and then just like lightly changed it depending on the path.
No, I'm like cutthroat. Corporate guy. I'm talking to my boss. He's pissed at me. I have to go to his office. And everyone's like, oh, look, it's so-and-so's lapdog. It's him.
Look, he's going in front of the suckle.
And so you go into the room. It's like a big fancy room. It's got like this like digital...
mahogany panel. Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of the 1980s. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's got like a digital aquarium kind of thing behind him.
Digital aquarium.
I think.
What's the point of having money if you're just going to go digital?
And of course, he's like the classic bad corporate. Like, I need to defend myself.
He has like 15 feet wide shoulders, like a tiny round bald head. And he's like 10 feet tall.
What's that? That's from Spider-Man.
That's from the Spider-Verse, yeah.
No, not quite like that. Just like your classic like white guy with brown hair.
Okay.
And you're like his secondhand man. What's cool is he's like asking you opinions, and you have options. And so it's like you can be the more sympathetic, like I think we should do this, or you can be the cutthroat, like you need to defend yourself, dude. And so he probably does it no matter what you do. So. Again, I didn't get that far. I kind of talked to him. I went back to my office. One of the guys that worked under me asked me a question. I gave him an answer that could probably change later in the game.
And then he watched as the entire world crumbled around him as your game crashed, and his face became mozzarella.
So it's kind of cool. I'll go a little bit into it because it's just the intro. It's not a big spoiler.
No.
So you got what I think is the same is you still have Jackie.
Yes,
Jackie's
you do have Jackie.
So Jackie's still my bro.
Which is a debatable thing if I like or not. I'm sorry everybody if you like Jackie, but
I think he's everyone's friend no matter which path
he's everyone's friend no matter what. I guess that's something we should all be thankful for.
So he's like, your guy's basically something big happens. He's like, I gotta meet you. Let's go to Lizzie's bar or whatever. And so like
Essay.
No.
I'm sorry, Jackie's a raging stereotype.
Is he?
I mean, oh, you only got 10
It
minutes of them.
wasn't so bad for me.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't showing it so much. Speaking of that, I heard there's a lot of stereotyping in this game. I heard it's pretty bad.
Well, if what I've seen so far is any example, Jackie is a major raging stereotype. I can only imagine it gets worse then. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. So your boss lets you like take his flying car, and so you get to go take the flying car to
I'm sorry, I'm getting like Fifth Element in my head. Okay, go on.
you get to go to the bar, and it's like champagne, and so like you can choose to like take the champagne, you sip the champagne as you're looking out the window,
You
and
can choose to
flying
like
by.
drop a bunch of pills in it and like lit it up.
It's funny because if you go to when you go to your desk, you can like sit down and look in your drawers, and of course there's like a stimulant in there because you're like a hardcore corporate guy who
Yes, corpy.
gotta get it done.
Corpy.
And then I get to the bar, it's like a hoppin' nightclub thing.
Yep.
There's stuff going on, and then I was just instead of going to my quest point, I was looking around, just looking for loot. And I go into this back room and then just crash. So it wasn't even anything special. I wasn't even trying to do
Well,
anything.
you probably took too many pills, and so
I-
your character just died a natural death.
Don't mix stimulants with champagne.
27 Club, you know?
But okay, so I know I'm kind of veering off topic here, but from my experience, the graphics looked fine. They're not base model bad. So playing on the PS5 definitely makes it look better.
But were they underwhelming?
Underwhelming.
Okay.
Like every other game I played so far on PS4
Has looked better.
has looked better. Red Dead Redemption, Horizon Zero
Yeah,
Dawn,
yeah.
Spider-Man. This didn't look like a game that was groundbreaking.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
when it crashed, I'm like, when I was playing, I was even like, I don't even know if I want to play this until the free upgrade comes out because
Oof.
I'm like, this is cool and I want to be
You hear like
experiencing
Jackie
this.
in the back going, "Come on, play, man. Come on. Where you going?
You spent $60, man.
Man, you gotta come play. Where you going?"
And so the next day they released the patch that fixes a lot of crashes. I'm like,
Mm.
I could come back, but like, I'm seeing all these screenshots of people playing on PC with beautiful graphics. I'm like, I'm not gonna rob myself of a potentially amazing experience,
Yeah.
which I bet it will become.
Yeah.
I bet they're gonna take really good care of this. Within 6 months, this game is probably gonna be really, really good.
Yeah.
Like Witcher, it's gonna be the next Witcher 3 once they get through making it better.
If God is good, yes.
So I mean, they're gonna have to if they want to uphold their reputation.
Well, they're having a hard time now, so I'm just this might gimp them before they even have a chance.
And before we carry on, one last thing. So IGN gave 9 out of 10 on PC. They went and did a separate review just for the base PS4 and Xbox One, and they gave it a 4 out of 10.
Ow.
And it was like, so on their scale, that's bad. And it said, please do not play this game on console because it's basically you're robbing yourself of like a great game.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's an unfinished product. You're literally
Yeah.
playing an unfinished product.
So I'm glad you mentioned the introduction you had because so
Yeah.
that like I said, that confirmed that it was very drastically different.
Yes.
Mine involved your character. I did know Matt again. Mine involves a character in a vehicle, and I'm sorry. No, actually, you have your vehicle in front of you, and you're actually in a mechanic shop. And there's a mechanic, and he's like you're there, and you know he's like doing his mechanic thing, and he's all gruff and smoking, and basically you're having this kind of like shoot the shit with him. Mm-hmm. And then he asks you some questions, and you're like, oh, I know how to fix my car. Or at least I did a male, so that's what I sound like.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a female, you probably sound different. But so I was like, I know how to fix my car. And I go up and I'm like, oh, plug it in here, and done. And yeah, sure enough, done. And I go in my car to start it up, and then you have like the bow wow, like the twang of a steel guitar and the like harmonica playing, and then guess what walks in? The most stereotypical Midwestern town sheriff.
Oh, really?
He comes walking in, and he's got like a sheriff's hat on. Like, I mean, he looks like 1960s. Like, I'm racist against anyone who's not part of my town, and I'm going and I kill people regularly and make sure their body's never found.
Oh, God.
So he comes walking in. You have this conversation where he's like, "What are you doing to my pots, pardner?" And you get all this fun dialogue with him as he's a complete raging and utter shit to you. And then you basically say like, well, I'm going to fuck off now. He's like, yeah, you better fuck off fast, son. And so I fucked off and it was kind of Fallout-y in a way. It was kind of like a Borderlands Fallout thing where I had to go to the radio tower and do something there so I could contact my partner. And then my partner was able to tell me where I needed to go. It was, I mean, all of this was very... it was good. It felt fine. It felt okay.
It felt okay. I was gonna say because
It was a little. It wasn't that interesting. I'll just say that, like, again, the stereotypes for one. Again, the sheriff. I was kind of a little like, really, like. I get that I'm not in the city right now.
But even in 2077, they're still acting like.
But there's like this stereotypical, like,
big enough for.
Might as well be a Texan or Southern sheriff.
Because this takes place in California, by the way.
Yeah.
This is Night City is the free state of California or something.
So as a Californian, I'm not a big fan of like Midwestern sheriff stereotypes in movies or TV shows. Like that's just something that's very tired to me, and I find them to be very kind of hitting low because come on, like there's better characterizations than that.
Yeah.
But they went for it, and it's very short. It's a very, very short interaction comparatively, so whatever. But it's part of the introduction, so I'm going to mention it. So after that, you go driving off, and who do you meet? But you meet Jackie, and he's at his little RV trailer, and he's like, hey, you want to come in here, and hey man, and we do this, and oh, you're gonna help me smuggle my shit. And I was so when I first met Jackie, I was like, oh my god, this guy's a tool. Like I fucking hate. I didn't know he was my companion.
Oh really?
I hated him when I first met. I was like, God, fuck, I want to kill him. I really hope I get a chance to kill him. And he's like sitting back at his chair smoking, and then he like kicks the box. And he's like, that's what we're smuggling, bruh. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm hoping you'll die soon. And it wasn't until I was in the car with him, we were driving, and we got to the checkpoint to get into the city with our smuggled goods. Which I'll just veer for a second. The driving was really fun.
Is the driving good?
The driving was really fun. I enjoyed the driving.
I heard that it's good.
So it was a pleasant surprise. It was probably my favorite part of the introduction, being out in the middle of nowhere. It's basically California desert, Mojave, more problems kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's basically like that. And so I had a lot of fun just driving through the cacti and blasting through things. And so when you get with Jackie in the car, you get to drive on these open roads. Of course, the first thing I wanted to do is I drove into oncoming traffic. So I veered into oncoming traffic, and I had 3 direct collisions, and the game was just like ignored them completely. Jackie was just like, whoa. So I was a little I guess one of the reasons I do that in every game is because I want to see what the NPCs are gonna do. Mm-hmm. It's still the same as 2006, like Saints Row 2. They don't do anything about it.
Did you try inside Night City?
So I've done the Night City as well, but okay. So this is the introduction. So I get to the checkpoint. You have to get to the checkpoint to get into the city. It's kind of one of those things. And again, we hit some more stereotypes here. We go into more of the law enforcement, like deep stereotypes with not so much sheriffs, but these are more like militarized law enforcement. So we get there. Jackie's like, "Ooh, watch out! Just play it cool, man. Play it cool. Get your card out, blah blah blah." And so we get our card out, and they're all like, get on your knees, get on your, stand on your foot, get up, roll over, get up, and they shoot me because I don't know what I'm doing. So I was really hoping Jackie was gonna die here, and it wasn't until after this and we had our kind of breakout that I was like, oh god, Jackie's my friend.
He's gonna be here.
That was a moment when I realized, oh god, he's my friend. I have to stay with him forever. And then proceeds the montage sequence, which is your montage about being best buddies with Jackie. You have a very strangely characterized montage where you and Jackie are being like best bad gangster buddies, and you're bumping along.
I wish I got this far because I was on the way to meet him, and I'm curious if the same thing happens in the corporate path.
You would have had to do like the breakout, and I say that with air quotes. Mm-hmm. And then it would happen. Okay. So you have the breakout scene, you do your little breakout, then Jackie's like, whoa, that was close. I say, come on, let's move in together. Let's be best as buds. Not three's company, but two's company. And so, yeah, there was the montage sequence with that. I'm sorry, it was a little strange. I'm a little underimpressed with the introduction character. Uh-huh. Jackie's not an impressive character to first.
Well, Keanu Reeves, he's your best friend.
I was kind of expecting that.
Have you met him yet?
No.
Okay, so he must come in later.
I hope so.
Well,
I want him to say like, wake the fuck up, Samurai. Like I want that because Jackie, he's nice. He's very nice. He's very lovable. Like kind of mucha lucha kind of lovable. But that's what they have to give you as your first guy. I'm sorry. I'm a little underimpressed with Jackie. Moving on. You have the long montage with Jackie and you guys being best buddies, doing everything but kissing and butt fucking. And then you move on to basically your heist. This is, I would say, your first heist, because this is your first heist as the player, but it's apparently many heists in. And I say heist, it's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of a little ambiguous, where they're like, you're going to save someone who was kidnapped, basically. Basically, an android was kidnapped, and you're going to go collect her. This is, I guess, the first breadcrumbs of the main plot. So you do that. There's a thing where he says, "Oh, hey, I have a tutorial chip. Like, do you want to do the tutorial?" So of course I was like, "Yeah, I'll do the tutorial. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing." So I did the tutorial. That's when you meet the other character, T-Cell, I think is her name.
Yeah, T-Cell. I think that's right.
T-Cell. She's kind of another bit of a stereotype, but I actually liked her. I'm not gonna be too harsh on her, because she was a likable character. She's basically, if you watched Kim Possible, she's basically like the Wade guy, like the guy on the Game Boy.
Oh, okay.
Who's like, "Yo, Kim, like the sitch." She's basically him, just her.
Is he like or is T-Cell the at home, like, I'm in?
I don't know where she is, but I'm imagining she's at home wherever she is.
She's like the IT person.
She's basically, yeah, like Hackers 1999.
Yeah.
I'm in. And so when you do the tutorial, she is kind of your tutorial guide. Like, you jump at the tutorial and it's like, "Oh, this is blah blah," and then it cuts off and she's like, "These are so easy to hack," and then she jumps in and she's like, does her little T-Cell intro.
Okay.
And bam, you're already smitten with her. So she's the other main character, presumably. I haven't, maybe she dies, I don't know, but you do the mission. She kind of gives you guys the information. Jackie is useless, as I expected. He just follows around basically like a large two-legged walrus. I mean, honestly, he's just useless. And you go to the mission, and this is kind of where you've got your first introduction with like some heavy combat. Heavy being relative, but when you're first playing a game, like, this is where you first get to fight enemies where you're not in a vehicle. And that's where I was kind of like, these are bullet sponges. Like, a lot of it's, you can do potential stealth, and the
I'm hoping this is just like I'm just starting and I'm so weak and I'm a newbie and these guys are so hard, and then later on in the game you just like,
so do you remember in Assassin's Creed, I haven't played the newer Assassin's Creeds, but do you remember like when you would go up to an enemy like sneaking and you go like ching, and they'd be like ugh, and you would lay them to the ground like dirty laundry?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember how you could just like rinse and repeat that, like do it over and over again, and it was always the same thing, and it maybe got a little boring? That's basically what sneak kills are.
That's how the sneak kills are.
That's literally what they are.
Okay, so you go behind.
You go up to an enemy and you grab onto them, and they rotate their head like an owl to look at you with these like large, watering, cartoony eyes, like these big dewy, like dew speckled eyes.
Oh, because it is first person, yeah.
And so they're looking at you. Their eyes are like bulging and like doing every like Puss in Boots thing they can do. And then you have an option to kill or make unconscious. And of course, I chose kill because I wanted to see what happened. And so, yeah, you kill them, and basically it's the same kill. I did it to like at least 5 enemies. I want to say at least 5 enemies. Maybe I'm including the tutorial enemies in that, but they were all the same. The only difference you get is when you kill an enemy right next to a container you can hide their bodies in, which then that means you can kill them and store the body.
So when you kill them, can you at least pick them up and drag them?
You can pick them up and put them in, and you kind of have to.
Okay.
Otherwise, their body's going to, start vibrating with a frequency that alerts enemies, because the enemies just know there's a body there.
Oh, it works like that then?
I'm being harsh, I guess, but it's kind of like Hitman, where if you don't remove the body, like guaranteed, like Pippi Longstockings is going to come skipping through the hall and trip over it, screaming.
So it's if you're going to play stealth, you may as well go all the way with it, basically.
Basically, if you're going to kill someone with a stealth kill, you're going to want to hide the body too.
Otherwise, you're going to break out.
And sometimes there's the option where you can stash them somewhere.
Okay.
As you kill them. So the stealth kills weren't very satisfying. So
okay.
that was kind of my first thing with like, ooh, that's it? That's all I'm going to get?
I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those RPG elements where if you want to focus on stealth kills and stuff like that, you'll probably get more options.
I'm sure there is more to it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just completely slap it and say it's shit, but as an introduction, it was a little underwhelming. So
you'll have to keep us updated, because
yeah,
I really, really want to go play this game, but at the same time, I I don't want to experience it in a poor way.
So,
you might be our source of Cyberpunk.
You're doing the good thing, like just to hold off until your preferred platform is ready. So the combat. This is where I get to the point where I just say, bullet sponges. Mm-hmm. When I finally there was a room and they were like, oh, you need to hack. You should hack the enemies. So that I tried to. The enemies, of course, turned around before I could finish hacking. So I was kind of forced to shoot them, and it wasn't satisfying. Like, again, this was my first introduction to like a decent combat scenario, and it wasn't super satisfying. I was a little disappointed by it. It wasn't because of lack of skill or lack of weapon, because I grabbed one of their weapons and like opened fire on them. They were just kind of spongy, and their AI wasn't particularly smart. They hid behind cover and just poked their heads up every few seconds. Mm-hmm. Unless I rushed them, which then they would just stand up and stand there.
I keep forgetting this is first person, so yeah, that's quite interesting, because I'm imagining this all in my head in third person, but in first person, it's much different.
I couldn't help but hope that the enemies were going to be a little smart. Mm-hmm. If I didn't know better, I would say they were scripted to be stupid.
Really?
Anyway, move on past that mission, finish the mission. Basically, you have another Jackie bonding moment where you have to sit in the car with him and listen to him talk, which you are then halfway through given an option to skip. I gratefully took. And after that, then you go to your apartment. You get to go to your house, your home base, whatever you want to call it. And you get to go there and try on the different clothes, and since I pre-ordered, I had some special clothes.
Oh, nice.
And I was all happy, and I got my clothes and I put them on, and I was like, this is actually really cool. The equipment menu is actually really cool.
So that's exciting to me that you have like a home hub.
Yeah.
Because that's something I loved about GTA, is you could like go home and change your clothes and do all that kind of stuff. You could have your house and your compound or whatever. So
I imagine it's going to be very similar for any of the life journey choices you make.
Okay.
I imagine that all of them eventually lead up to the point that I'm at.
Okay.
Where you have I'm going to say it again, the break moment where you break out and you become BFFs with Jackie, and you then become what you are.
Yeah, so from what I understand, the life paths, all it does is change your intro, basically your tutorial, and then like your origin, obviously, like where you're from, and the dialogue options that you'll have later on in the game.
This is one of the things I had heard about the game, and also I remember hearing about it when they were talking about it, is that the life paths were actually supposed to dramatically affect your entire gameplay.
Like it would be 3 different games.
That's exactly. So what one of their advertising points earlier on was that you would have to play the game 3 times. Mm-hmm. Because if you want to enjoy each aspect of it, you have to play it 3 times. Now, the life paths have basically concluded to be different origin. Like, the start of the game is different. Mm-hmm. And then after about, again, I haven't reached this point yet, but this is just something I read, and I didn't read any spoilers. But after maybe about a quarter of the game, it literally stops mattering.
Yeah.
There's apparently there's a point in the game where there's like a sharp cut, and you're like, oh, that's the end of my origin. Okay.
So you could play 3 times, and I'm sure you're going to get a different experience. Like, if you don't play all 3, there's going to be things you're not going to find out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure later on in the game, someone from the beginning is going to show up and you're like, remember that decision you made 80 hours ago? Well, guess what? I'm back and I'm going to kill you.
I only hope that's what this game does. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm holding out a lot of hope, but the problem is a lot of my experiences so far, which have been very small because, again, I've only played about 3 hours. Mm-hmm. But I'm a little underwhelmed with some of the... I can't help it. I was hyped up. This game was incredibly hyped. I tried not to. I've been hurt before, but it still happened. Which is why I mentioned the combat, and why I mentioned the sneaking, and why I mentioned Jackie. Like, why I mention these things is because I was expecting a little more.
So I do have a question, because remember when I said I went to my office and my underling or whatever asked me a question?
Yeah.
What he asked me seemed like something that would definitely impact me later in the game based on my decision.
Okay.
Did you have any kind of conversation with anyone where you had to pick something that seemed like, like this could definitely either help me or hurt me later down the road?
Honestly, since I've left the place that I started in way behind...
I mean, this was in the first 10 minutes of the game, so...
my first 10 minutes was talking to the mechanic.
Yeah.
talking to the stereotypical sheriff.
Did you talk to everyone that you could talk to?
I tried to talk to people in the town, but then they started shooting me, so I had to reload. And
Okay.
they
didn't type.
I tried, and then I ran them over. I ran them over
time.
the second time, and then so after all that, then I finally kept them going. But the main conversation you have that's not the sheriff and not Jackie is with the guy on the radio when you go up to the tower.
Okay.
It was a pretty not noteworthy conversation. Like, you basically talk to him and he gives you some updates on where you're supposed to go, you know, pertaining to your life at that point in the game. And then he's like, don't ever contact me again. And you're like, oh, okay. And then he's gone.
So
and there weren't any options during that dialogue that sounded important.
I'm just going to say this because it's not a big spoiler.
Okay.
It's like within the first 10 minutes.
Okay.
You go see your boss, you come back out, your guy asks you, hey, from what I understand, you sent someone undercover into a different company, another big company. And your guy feels like they know what's going on, and so they're feeding him false information. And he gives you the option like, hey, should we pull him out or should we keep him in? And so
that definitely feels like an important decision. Yes.
Yeah, because it seems like if he gets caught, it's going to be a big
That definitely feels important. My decisions were not important.
Yeah.
The decisions I made were basically like, do you want to have wheat or white bread? Like, that was basically the decisions I had. So,
and you're working for one of the biggest companies. I think there's like 5 or 6 big corporations in this game, and you work for one of them.
So that does actually remind me. So the Nomad, you start off. So nomads basically have clans.
Okay.
So you are attached to a clan, or you originate from a clan, and your character broke from the clan, which is unusual.
Okay.
Most people don't do that. So that basically makes you a homeless nomad. A nomad is already homeless, basically, but like, you are a non-clanned nomad. So that is a little unusual, and that seemed important, but it didn't play out to anything yet.
You never had an option of like,
well, there wasn't
interacting with someone within the clan to.
There wasn't any interaction with the clans whatsoever. It was people asking you about it.
Okay.
And there were some moments you could say like, "Oh, I'm part of a clan," or "Oh, I'm not part of a clan." Like, but you already knew that your character wasn't part of a clan.
Okay.
Like, you already knew that, so you would have been lying if you had said you were.
Interesting.
So there was the other moment when you were in the customs check thing, and there were some questions in there. There's one, which unfortunately I don't remember verbatim, but it was basically the guy was asking you if you were with a clan.
I
opted that. Well, but you already know your character isn't. Like, your character is already broken off. Like, he's a lone wolf.
Yeah, but the information that you give him, that might go up the chain somewhere.
So he was
so
basically,
that might have been that.
He was just
option.
saying like, hey, are you documented or are you undocumented? And so I just said like, oh, I'm not documented. And then he just pulled a gun and shoots me basically, and I was just like, okay, that was a wrong decision maybe. But I didn't save scum. I just kept going with what I said. Yeah. So
interesting.
That was my version of that question. It didn't feel that important though. Mm-hmm. But supposedly these life paths were originally intended to affect like beginning to end of the game, and now they don't. Mm-hmm. Supposedly, I mean, this is not personal experience yet. I will eventually get there, but as of now, I've only heard that.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to hear more about this game from you.
I'm excited to do more, honestly.
So I will dive back into this game if they promise some fixes soon. Okay, actually, I do have some information on this. The last thing we'll touch on with Cyberpunk. Step 1, they released an apology.
That was very dramatic. I read it.
You read it?
I did read it.
Oh, we're sorry. We just didn't look close enough at the console versions. We're sorry.
They're basically just like, ooh, we're so sorry, ooh, senpai, please.
They did promise. So what they're saying is they're going to be releasing 2 massive patches, which should fix everything. Yeah. One's going to come in January. The next one's going to come in February.
They're basically going to No Man's Sky the game completely.
Yeah. And then at the very end, which is at least, it's nice of them to do, but they're basically saying,
you can get a refund.
You can get a refund. If you can't get it from your retailer that you bought it from, we'll work with you. But it's like a 1-week period. You have like 1 week to get this done. So if you bought it and you're unhappy with it, contact them. You're probably going to have to sit in a 2-hour waiting line.
Let's assume it's completely easy to do and super simple.
Yeah.
They're putting their best foot forward, but very temporarily.
Yeah, it's like for a week.
I can appreciate it, and it is a very drippy apology.
Yeah.
But they don't really. I mean, they're just covering themselves.
They're just covering themselves.
That's all they're doing. I mean, and that's not to shit on them. Again, I really like CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty rough game. Like, the game feels pretty rough, and even on the PC, again, the gameplay's not that smooth. Like, it just isn't that smooth.
Well, the patches they said are for console, but at the very bottom it said PC users are also going to be getting fixes too.
Yeah.
So
I've been downloading patches as well. Yes.
I'm going to assume if you're on PC, I would guess by the end of January you're probably going to be running the best game.
I'm just going to assume that the introduction I've experienced so far just maybe was a little off the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe as I get into more of the standard like gameplay, it'll probably be a little smoother.
From what I'm reading, I think you're going to enjoy yourself a lot when you get about.
Because I spent 3 hours, but a lot of that was just like looking and like doing things in the game to see what I could do and to see what would happen. So I need to play more still.
Yeah, I would say if you can get like maybe 10 more hours in or something like that between now and the next episode, you might have a totally different answer.
I hope so. But yeah.
All I want to know is when are they announcing the free next gen upgrade? Because if the 2 patches aren't going to be done till the end of February, how long am I going to have to wait?
I just want to know, when the hell does your like genitalia become important? Like, well, I was able to pick it and design it, so when is it important? When am I going to be using it in the game?
It's for the glitches. There's a really funny glitch where like it's just hanging out of your pants.
And I'm waiting for when do I get to use it? Like what? So I have it. I'm packing, but when do I get to use it?
Apparently, you get to use a lot in this game.
Okay, so I've been hearing some other. I mean, let's maybe we'll just like ruminate on some funny glitches we've heard so far.
Okay.
Well, one of the funnier ones is how your character, no matter who you opt to sleep with, will always be sleeping with a man.
Oh, really?
Like, so one of the glitches is like, my character keeps sleeping with men. Like, it's basically like the quote of the glitch. And so the way it plays out is you will go up to a prostitute. You know, it can be like, basically, it can be anyone. It can be Barbarella. You go up to her and you're like, hey, I want to sleep with you. And she's like, yeah, man, come on. And then the cutscene plays and it's a man. And you're like, oh, okay. Okay. And so you can try as many times as you want. And this, I don't think this is universal. I don't think everyone experiences this, but some people do. And it will be a man.
That's really funny. But I saw a funny one today where like apparently someone was driving and then like their person glitches above the car with their ass out. And so you're just driving around butt naked and you're not T-posing, but you're just like standing straight up and like half your body's out of the car and you're just driving around. It happens on motorcycles.
Speaking of cars, I've been seeing a lot with just cars in the environment, like not yours, but other cars just launching. So there was a really amusing one I saw where a guy had just spoken to a homeless NPC on the street, and the homeless man's like, "Hey man, thank you for the money, man. Thanks." Like he gave him some money, and then the player walks away and then looks across the street, and then he just sees like this like moving thing in the distance, and it's a car that's spinning wildly in his direction. It flows over his head and like smashes right next to the homeless man behind him.
Oh my god!
For a second, I was like, "Oh my god, is it going to crush the homeless guy?" But it didn't.
Please send me that video. That sounds so funny.
But it was really funny because the guy who was playing was obviously just like, "What the hell? Is God mad at me?" Like it was. So far, the glitches look like they have just as much charm as the Witcher 3 ones did.
They all seem really funny. Like if this were to happen to me in the middle of the game and it wasn't game breaking, I would be laughing and having a good time with it.
Basically, if we weren't experiencing a lot of the
crashing,
console stuff, and as well as just the crashing that a lot of people have as well, and you know maybe some of the stuff that I mentioned, but you know, all my opinion, I'd say this would be charming. You know, some of the glitches would be, but as of now, and because of all the connotation behind Cyberpunk's creation in 8 years, what the fuck?
Yeah. Did you see? Oh, I think I sent you the video, the one where
oh my god!
Like, he punches the guy in the wheelchair. He's like, "Fuck this!" And he gets out of his wheelchair.
Fuck this shit! He goes running, dude.
He gets out of his wheelchair and runs away. And the meme is like, he looks at his hands. Yes. He has like the hands of God. Yes. He performed a miracle.
That was. I was at work when you sent me that, and I had to go to the porta potty because you don't have restrooms at work. And I had to watch that in there and like laugh because when I just heard like I worked, I looked at the video and I turned it on. I heard fuck this shit. I was like, oh my god, I need to watch this now. So I had to like excuse myself and see it.
Oh my god,
that was funny. That was good.
I might retweet that one on the
please do. If I can find my mozzarella glitch from Witcher 3, please do share that one.
Let's do that. Let's just start retweeting all the funny glitches that we find.
Because so everything about Cyberpunk isn't bad. Like glitches inherently aren't always bad. Sometimes they are always immersion breaking, but they're not always game breaking.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like Witcher 3, they can be charming, they could be funny, they could be moments you can remember. I had the mozzarella face glitches, and I was horrified. I thought this was like some Call of Cthulhu stuff happening in my game. It wasn't, and I moved on and I kept playing.
Yeah,
but it was very amusing, and yeah. So Cyberpunk isn't all bad. I've said a lot of bad things about it, but
we're just being critical. I mean,
I'm being critical. Like I expected a lot from this game, and I feel like I had every right to expect a lot because this game, and I kept my expectations fairly low. Like this game was hard not to get hyped up about.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very dramatic title to be released because of everything behind it, and yeah, it's getting its harsh reality. It's getting its reality check, but it's still worth playing. But like IGN said, play it on the PC.
Yeah.
If you can't wait, play it on the PC.
Yeah, if you're thinking about it right now, and I've had a lot of people asking me because I took a picture of the game, and they're like, "Oh my god, you got it? How is it? Should I buy it?" I'm like, unless you have a PC, don't get this.
Yeah.
And so if you're planning on playing on console, I would wait. Well, first of all, you have to wait till at least the end of February to play it on a base console for it to be playable. If you have a next gen console, I would wait until they release the free upgrade, which you might be waiting until the end of spring next year.
You might be waiting that long.
They promised early 2021, but I'm expecting summer at this point.
Technically, late spring is early still, so we'll see. We'll see in that regard. But as of now, the PC works fairly well. The glitches are there, but they're not game breaking, and there's not many crashes. I haven't experienced an actual crash to desktop since that character creation one.
Okay, good.
All the rest have just been ones where I've had to go, okay, well, I guess I'm going to reload. The NPCs are just staring at me and not talking.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing I would say is this game just needs some more tuning.
Just needs some fine-tuning.
You know, I get that they're cybernetic, robot, you know, whatever. I'm forgetting the exact words, but let's not do bullet sponges. Bullet sponges aren't fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to kill something that dies, like, in a satisfying way. I would say that would be the first and foremost thing I'd want to do. And then, honestly, I'd want Jackie rubbed from the existence.
Just delete him from the game.
I'm sure people like him, because I'm just one of those people who I don't really like characters that are a little too extra.
Uh-huh.
And he's so lovable, and he's so, like, you know, Garsh Scoob, like Zoinks, like, and he's also a raging stereotype. I could do without Jackie. I could really do without him completely and utterly.
Well, maybe you'll have an option to get rid of him on your own. Who knows?
You know, if that's real, then bye-bye Jackie.
I can't wait. I almost hope it's part of the game so I can hear, like, get the message from you, like, oh my god, it's done.
So if you guys want to know, if you guys think I'm a horrible, awful person as of now, well, what I did was even more horrible. When I played Fallout 4, and you had the radio host guy, the guy that was all, like, stuttering and tripping over his own words, says a stutterer, I hated him. I hated him with every fiber of my being. Because I like to listen to the radio in the game. But if the radio host is annoying, 3Dog, cough, cough, then I will find them and I will kill them. I killed 3Dog. I put a landmine on his pillow, and he no longer was on the radio after that. And then I found this guy, the stuttering guy, I don't remember his name. I did his little quest. I made him happy and want to live again. And he was thanking me. He had a girlfriend. He was happy. He wanted to return to life. And then I shot him in the head. So I'm a horrible person, but I didn't. He got on my nerves. And then after that, once he was gone, once his being ceased to be, guess what? The radio was just music. I could turn on the radio and I could hear only music, and there was only a brief interruption from the janitor for like a second, instead of this stuttering, bumbling spaghetti that I just did not need to hear. I stutter. I have a stutter of my own. I don't need to hear someone else do it all the time in my face.
It's so funny because when you finish the quest, he actually gains a lot of confidence.
And I knew that. And he told me his voice had changed in that dialogue. And he was like, I'm confident now, and I have Sally Jane, who's my girlfriend, and I'm so happy. I can't wait to and then shot him in the head. I
didn't even get the quest reward.
Oh, I did get the quest reward.
Oh,
I finished the quest. Yeah, I wasn't wasting my time.
Oh.
I was going to get the reward. I wasn't wasting my time. Like, there's a reason I didn't kill him on the spot. It's because of that.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm a horrible person. I don't like Jackie. I would like to see him go. So if there's an option in the game for that, I will tell you guys that I did it. Be fully aware that I will.
Well, apart from Cyberpunk, since luckily for me I have other games to play, since I'm not playing that.
So what have you been playing if not for the release of the year?
Yeah, I'm still playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Of course. So how many hours are you at now? Because you were like in the 20s last time?
Yeah, I'm at 37 hours.
Damn. And are you finished? Like, is the game almost done? That's a lot of hours.
According to like the PS5 card thing, where it tells you your progress, it says I'm 40% through Eivor's story. And
you're 40% and you've played 37 hours?
Yeah, I'm expecting this to be like an 80-hour game.
Jeez.
And I've even kind of, in the beginning, to be fair, I did a lot of running around and collecting treasures.
That's still gameplay.
It's still gameplay, yeah, but it was a main story. I've been trying to mainstream the story now. And so I'm definitely making a lot of progress on that. But it's still slow because the way that the main story works, I talked about it a little last time. Basically, you're a Viking from Norway. You come to England, you want to make a new start with your brother. Your brother's like the Jarl. He's in charge, and you're kind of like his second-hand man.
His Jarler.
Yes, and basically the main story is there's different sections of England, and they all have their own conflicts, and your job is to go make alliances all around England so that you can create a new strong England. And so
a new strong England.
Yes.
Is this canon to history?
Yes, it is 100% canon. Eivor killed millions of people by himself.
Oh, Eivor.
All me. All about me.
It's all about
perfect.
Me. Eivor, it's going to be great.
The greatest raids you've ever seen.
Ask anyone.
Ask anyone.
Wait, okay, enough of that. Go on.
I mean, I like that system. So you have your home base, you build it up, you raid to get supplies, you make it bigger, and then each time you make a new alliance, you come back home.
And this is like Raven's Hold or whatever it's called?
Yeah, I think it's called Raven's Hold.
Like Raven's Croft. Or
Ravencroft.
Bell Book Candle, whatever.
Ravensthorpe.
That was it, yeah.
So you basically have someone who's back at home who's kind of in charge of things.
So you're the Jarl now?
No, he is.
Oh, so you're still like the Jarler?
Yes.
Okay.
He's off doing his thing and you're doing your thing, and sometimes you come together.
Okay.
And so the thing is each time you come together, you're like blood brother kind of people. You're not related, but he took.
But is it one of those things where it's kind of like there's a
tension?
There's a tension,
and the tension is growing the further you make these alliances.
Is it juicy?
It's getting pretty good.
Okay.
Because I don't want to spoil anything, but
it's
like,
juicy.
It's getting good. Yeah.
Okay.
And
okay.
A lot of people are saying that this story isn't anything to go home about, which I gotta agree. It's not like a 10 out of 10, like Last of Us Part 2.
So on that note, I just want to specify it. So you're 40% through.
Yeah.
Does that feel like a 40% of like, wow, this is such a good book, I want to read more? Or does that feel like a 40% of like, oh my god, when is this going to end?
I've got to say, I've been enjoying it. So
Okay.
I'm excited to go to each new territory and see what's going on. Some of them are a little stereotypical. Like, for instance, one of them is this one, this guy's new, or this area's new king or whatever. He's not strong, and we don't respect him because he's just like, he's not a strong fighter. He's afraid to do this and this. And so you kind of help him, shape him into like
You have to do the thing that I did with a radio host, but just not kill him in the end.
Yeah, you basically
Okay.
have to like get his confidence up, you build him up, you show him your Viking ways, and he becomes a man, and blah 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 blah. That's it. The thing is to make this alliance, he has to marry like a Dane, and so you've got the woman Dane that he's marrying, and she's strong and stuff like that, and
she's like, oh, you need to fix this milk toast, make him good, make him mighty.
She's actually cool. It's her two brothers who are like, this guy's a milk
This
toast.
guy's a total simp, man. What a snowflake. What is he gonna do?
Exactly. They're like, he
They're
can't
all
do
bro-y.
anything. Yeah, they can't take anything. They can't take him seriously, and so it's all about proving themselves. And it's a good story. The thing is, each time I feel like, okay, this is kind of stereotypical, but then it does it in a good way.
Okay.
And it's a weird thing because obviously Eivor is a Viking. I mean, you are invading England. You're taking places over for your own benefit.
So that's what's weird to me. It's like, why are you just accepted? Like I from what my understanding of history is, the English, or the people who were occupying England and being attacked by the Vikings, hated the Vikings. So what the hell?
They do. Honestly, a lot of them just don't like you. But the thing is it's so corrupt that they have more faith in you making things better, that they're like, look, our king is so shitty and our lives suck so much. They're like, if you're promising to do what you're doing and protect us, we'll help you out.
So it's one of those things where they are kind of, they have
better
to
of
be.
Better two
the
evils.
lesser of two evils. Okay.
Yeah, you're doing them a favor, and they're like, well, shit, if you're going to do this for us, we'll support you. And you're never, the thing is you're just basically, you're like a kingmaker. Every time you go here, you're just helping stabilize these areas. And they're like, basically all Eivor wants to do is, hey, we help you out, you help us when we need you. It's just alliance making.
How magnanimous. Wow.
Yeah, and so it's this funny thing where at the end of the day, you're a Viking. You're doing a lot of terrible things. You're chopping off a lot of heads, like literally limbs are being chopped off.
But these are just nameless bandits.
They're just bad people. It's one of those weird things. You're a bad guy, but you're also getting rid of other bad guys. So you're like the lesser bad guy at the end of the day.
You're basically just a bad guy hero. You're not an anti-hero, you're a bad guy hero.
Yeah. It's not even anti-hero really.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing good.
Yeah, you're doing good, but you're still a piece of
that
crap.
that actually enlightens the game a little bit for me, because I just had this really cartoonish view of the game where it was just Willy Wonka with history. I'm glad to hear that.
Without spoilers, basically, I feel like Eivor has a bit more of a moral compass than his brother counterpart. And so,
This sounds like some Riku and Sora.
He just thinks he's like a god. He thinks he's, I meant to do this, blah, 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 blah.
That sounds like Mickey and Sora.
and Eivor's like, I'm just trying to uphold these, like, he's going and making these alliances. He's like, I don't want to screw these people over. Like, I gave him my word. This is my honor, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I get this feeling like from where I'm going, the brother's like, this is all about me.
There's going to be a breaking point, basically.
And this isn't a spoiler, but you are foretold, like, in the very early in the game, like, you're going to betray your brother.
I don't know, you're going to betray your brother when it's obviously going to be him, probably.
It's basically saying, like, there's going to be a point where you're not going to agree and you're going to betray. I mean, of course, Eivor's like, I would never do that. I follow him no matter what.
So I'm going to make just a wild guess here. I'm going to say that you're going to make all these alliances. Everyone's going to think you're the cat's meow, the cat's pajamas. Mm-hmm. And then Eivor's going to come, like, sashaying up to you and be like, yo, bro.
No, you're Eivor.
I'm sorry.
What's the other guy?
What's the other guy's name? Theold Boldwin Stonehenge.
Yes.
So let's just say the brother's gonna come up to you. He's gonna say, "We're gonna betray everyone you just made the alliance with in order to make ourselves more powerful, etc. reason, whatever reason he wants to put in. Let's do it." And then Eivor you is gonna say, "No, betrayal."
That's what I'm feeling. It feels like you're building up all these alliances, and he's gonna want to do something which betrays all their trust.
Yep.
And your brother's gonna be like, we're Vikings. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, we're gonna do this, and then you're gonna be like, "No, you betrayed me, brother."
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel, and that's why I say this isn't a story to write home about. I feel like I already know where this is going.
Yeah.
I mean, you straight up get prophesized. Like, you meet Odin, and he's like, "You're gonna betray." And
going to betray.
There's a lot of cool things in this game I want to mention. So apart from the main story, the side quests are pretty cool.
Okay.
So I mentioned there's not really side quests.
Well, there was the one with the king, right? Was that technically a side quest?
No, so those are the main quests.
That was the main quest. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So when you're going to each of these new provinces, those are the main quest things.
Okay.
So the side quests in this game are, I think I mentioned it before, they're called mysteries. They're just blue dots on the map you go to, and they usually take 5 to 10 minutes max. Rarely more than 5 minutes. And they're either really sad or really funny. And it's like, there's like a really, I'll say it because it's not a spoiler. Basically, you come upon this cottage. There's an old man, and he thinks you're his daughter. And so he's like, "Oh, it's gonna rain. Can you help me get these heavy boxes underneath the canopy? Oh, you're such a good daughter. I haven't seen you in so long, blah, blah." And so you help him carry the things, and then you sit down with him, and he tells you a story about how he met your mother and all this other stuff, and you roll with it. Or you can choose to roll with it, or you can tell him, like, I'm stop. Like, I'm not your...
You go up to him and be like, "Don't call me daughter."
And so I rolled along with it because like I'm sympathetic. And so he's like, "Oh, so glad you stopped by, blah, blah, blah. It's been so long." And I did a little exploring around the property, and you go up like to this hill, and there's a tree and there's a gravestone.
Of course there is, yes.
And you realize that it's his daughter's grave.
Of course.
Right next to his mother, right next to his wife's grave.
Of course.
And I was like, oh my God.
How much more like 1970s Western do you get?
I was like, oh my God, this guy's just like coping. And that's the thing is all these people, most of these people that you're running into are people that are coping with tragedies. Like another one, just for example, you find this Viking. He's like in the woods and he's like working on his longboat, and he just like he's fantasizing like that he's about to go on a raid, and so he's like telling you to do all these things. Oh, get this, and oh, the crew's all here. Let's start. And like wolves come, and that's like the raid. Those are the enemies. And at the end of afterwards, you're like, dude, no one's here. Like it's all gone. Those were just wolves. And he's like, oh well. Like one last raid at least. Thanks for doing this with me or whatever. It's just like really sad.
And does that end right there?
He just kind of like
it trails off.
He kind of just accepts like, oh, like this isn't real. Well, at least that was one.
Well, that sounds very witchery. I've got to say that.
Really,
that's a very kind of Witcher type kind of climax.
There's really funny ones, but then there's also ones like that where you're just playing along to make them happy because you feel bad for them because they had some tragic past.
And there's a lot of these.
They're coping with it. Yeah, there's quite a few. Every area has like over a dozen.
And they're fun.
I mean, they take 5 minutes and they give you a lot of XP.
Cool.
So I always stop to them.
I'm full for that. I'm fully support that because that like little detail stuff in the world, like technically world building stuff.
Yeah.
It's nice. That's nice.
And for side quests, the only like side quests are part of your settlement.
Oh, okay.
And those are just your, the blacksmith, the trade post guy. Every now and then they'll have like a side quest that you can do.
Are those just kind of repetitive though?
They're good too.
Okay.
They're all good. The thing is like I've enjoyed all the quests. There's a few of them that are kind of silly, but I've enjoyed all of them. The fact that they're like 5 minutes and they give so much XP, I'm like, why not?
What about when you get pulled back to the present and you have to play Bitchy McBitchface?
I haven't had to do that yet. Okay. The only thing is that there's things you can find in the world. They're like glitches or something like that. And you touch it as Eivor, and then in the world, you basically transform into the
Bitchy McBitchface?
Yeah. I don't know her name, but... Yeah. And it's just a puzzle. Basically, these cubes appear, and it's basically just like a puzzle... what would you call it? Obstacle course kind of thing.
That sounds like a Super Mario thing. Like
it is.
You jump into the pipe and you get taken to like a puzzle to find a star.
Basically, it's all these boxes you have to climb and jump from, and you have to like move things so that they aren't glitching out, so you can hop over them and get to the end. It's just an obstacle course. It's just a puzzle.
That's an interesting addition to an Assassin's Creed game, I've got to say.
And when you complete it, you unlock like a memory kind of thing. I don't know if you remember Assassin's Creed 2, where you find the little things and it gives you a 1-second clip of the video.
Yeah,
and you have to gather all the clips to get the full video, and it's like aliens.
Oh my god!
That's when you learn that it's aliens. Is for that video. Apart from the Pope turning into an
alien. Like, I was raised in a Catholic family, so I was playing this game, and I was just like, I hope my mom doesn't walk in as the Pope walks out, and he's like, oh, and then he just like reveals his green head, and I'm just like, what the? Yeah.
Anyways, it's been a really fun game.
Cool.
I haven't traveled anywhere other than England.
So you've just been in England for all these many hours?
All this time.
And you're still going to new places?
Okay, so there is a side quest which takes you to a new place.
Ireland.
I'm not going to spoil it because it's a big spoiler.
Ooh.
You go somewhere cool, though.
Ooh.
Maybe I might talk to you off but I don't want to spoil it for anyone else.
Now I'm excited. Let's end this really quick right now.
Okay. Actually, we are pretty much at our time.
We're at our time. Yeah, so go ahead, Garrett. Finish up.
Other than that, I'm going to keep playing this game. With these Assassin's Creed games and these new open worlds, I can't help but just want to do everything in them. Mm-hmm. Like, I did that with Origins. I almost 100% that game.
Cool.
I don't know if I want 100% this game, but I want to see the main story through. I want to explore most of those mysteries and find all the side quests.
Is your passion as fiery as it was for Origin?
No. I enjoyed Egypt more than England, but the graphics are very pretty.
Yeah,
I was a little nervous at first because I did run into a few glitches, like the whale that was flying in the sky.
That was terrifying.
I'm like, okay, this is 10 minutes in. This isn't boding
That
well.
was like Fantasia. I mean, that was scary.
But I haven't run into any other bugs since then.
Cool.
So it's been running well. So yeah, I'm excited to play more of this, let you know what I think at the end, and not touch Cyberpunk, apparently, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll just keep touching Cyberpunk. I'll keep touching away and see where I can go.
Cool. Well, this was not the podcast I expected to have today. I was expecting to be raving about Cyberpunk, how great it is.
Me too. That's kind of why I'm a little somber, is because
Yeah.
all I wanted to do was rave about Cyberpunk, and then after playing it, I was kind of like, damn.
Well, hopefully next week you'll have a little bit more to say about it.
I'm only 3 hours in.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening to this, they're probably going like, "What the fuck, dude? You're only 3 hours in."
Yeah.
I agree, but I'm still an incredibly. I look at the details, so
That's a first impression, though.
It's a
And
first
they
impression.
matter. 3 hours is
So-
a long time. For
so
someone to
yes,
decide.
I'm going to play more, and I'm hopefully going to have better things to say.
Well, before we wrap it up, I do want to mention that we do have some exciting things happening to the podcast. I want to make it happen right at the new year.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I think that's what we're gonna do. Okay.
yeah, we got some cool. We're working on stuff, and we do have something that we're going to add to the podcast, and I want to release it.
Are we gonna be coy, or are we gonna say it?
Okay, so we basically have some music that we
Yes.
can use for the podcast.
Yes.
And
So a very, 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 very good friend of mine has specially made music for us.
super cool.
He's very good. His name is Demodron. He's only on SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. But he does like kind of 90s trance music. Very, very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to him. I was like, oh, hey, it'd be really cool if you had music for this. And he's like, oh yeah? And bim bam boom, he sent me a song.
Yeah, he released a new track with us in mind, and it slaps. Like, I'm excited to play with this and get a good clip for our intro and outro and all that
So
stuff.
we're gonna soup that up and put it on, and hopefully you guys like it.
So the first episode of the new year, I'm gonna make sure that it has it. So be on the lookout for that. And once we get that going, we'll give you all the information for his SoundCloud.
Yes.
So we can hook you up and you can listen, because he's got a lot of good music on
He
there.
has got a lot of good music. Oh my god! If you are into that music, you will be into him.
Yeah,
very good.
The trance is good, so I'm
Yes.
excited. Apart from that, we're on social media as always, Twitter and Instagram. We're at Pod Out of Mana. We're on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
Out of Mana, Twitch, Out of Mana Plays, and you can always send us a good old fashioned email at
podoutofmana@gmail.com.
I'm excited for next year because we've been doing some stuff in the background. We're working on making this bigger and cooler.
We're working on making it cooler, a bit
Yeah.
bigger. We'll see, but we want to make it cooler.
Yes, for sure. And we're excited. Thank you everyone for listening. Please comment, subscribe, like, everything you can do for this. It would mean the world to us, especially this holiday season.
Yes.
If you want to give us a gift, give us a comment or a like and
And
share it
we're
with your
gonna give you
friends.
the warm gift of our voices.
Yes, they're
So-
very warm.
Happy holidays.
So grab a cup of tea. I'm just kidding.
Don't
Inside
do that.
joke,
Don't
inside
do
joke.
that, please. We don't need a taint.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, have a great rest of your day, night, evening, however you're listening, and we'll catch you next episode.